Good afternoon and welcome to this week's BizSmart Lunch and Learn webinar. Our weekly webinars aim to provide advice and share knowledge on key business topics and specialist areas. Joining me today is BizSmart Select Member Paul Rose from Green Gorilla Apps. Before we start today's webinar, can I ask you to use your question mark function on your screen and post any questions that you may have for Paul, and he will answer them at the end of today's session. Okay, Paul, thank you very much and over to you.
Okay, yeah, thank you for inviting me in again. It's really good to do these, so I'll kick straight off. Yeah, I was thinking of a topic to do, and it suddenly dawned on me that there's a process that we have in our business that we do with all new clients and people who are trying to iterate. So I thought I'd go through this. So I've called it an essential tool for developing any business idea. I always like to start my presentations with cheesy comments. So this is all about effectively knowing your customer and understanding the problem that you solve. So Seth Godin says everyone is not your customer, which is a huge thing we have to educate prospective clients about, and also ourselves. And then the other one is there's actually a website called leanstack.com that I was on earlier, and it said life's too short to build something nobody wants, and I thought that's probably the best summary of the business model canvas that I've seen. So that's phrases up today really. Who am I? So like I've been kindly introduced. I'm Paul Rhodes. I've got a company called Green Gorilla Apps. We're a team of 8, and we're basically a software development company. So we build web and mobile applications. And I guess the one thing that we've come to kind of really learn and love, I guess, over the years that we've been doing it is agile development, and then also this thing called lean. And as part of that, we've discovered probably about 3 years ago, started using the business model canvas ourselves. And I've put at the bottom, I mean it's slightly cut off, but I've put about we're a hybrid between a service and a product company. So I think one of the things that I really enjoy about this tool we'll talk about later is not only do we build like digital products and SaaS products for our customers, we also do it for ourselves. So anything that we do in our process is about how you develop a good product. We're also doing that ourselves, and so the two cross-pollinate, and we're learning lessons all the time. But the fundamental starting point for any conversation we really have is the business model canvas. So I try and always put myself in the in your shoes and think about what you're going to get out after about 20 minutes of this. So I'm hoping you'll understand what the business model canvas is. Also have an understanding of why it's even relevant to your own businesses. And then of course like steps to how you can use it, and then to determine whether there is a benefit. I think there's pretty much any business under any sector could benefit from at least learning about it, and it doesn't take long to do. It's just asking those questions really. So who's it applicable to? I mean, it's literally, again, I hate the word any business, but if you've got an idea that's been bubbling away but you haven't taken any action yet, it's perfect for a new idea, because it starts to sort of formalize about what your actual idea might be and who's it helping. The other thing is we do it a lot retrospectively, so bizarrely we do it with all new customers, but it's one of those things where we suddenly go, do you know what, we haven't business model canvassed this. So if you've got an existing service, it could be something as simple as like offering web design, web apps, mobile apps to customers. To go through this process really formalizes how you approach the problems that you solve. And then the other thing is it helps us to identify like strategic opportunities in our business. So again, you can look at how you're serving current customers and what channels you're going through, and how you could iterate on that and improve. And it's a really good way to kind of form your own company and stuff around how you want it to be, rather than we just do what everyone else does. So yeah, this is the business model canvas. It comes from a book called Business Model Generation. I'm terrible at pronouncing people's names, so I'm going to call them Alex and Eves, or Yeeves, or Yvette. But there's two blokes basically came up with it, and it's a really good book. I mean, it's available, like, of course, on Amazon and stuff. But it's quite a visual book more than anything, and it takes you step by step through a process that we use. So like if you did have any interest in any of the stuff that we kind of touch upon, it's definitely the book to get and adopt. And the other good thing is much better than my presentation today, but there's loads of people on YouTube and stuff who talk through different business model canvases. So this is where it all comes from. Like I say, I was literally told about this book probably about 4 years ago, And then about 3.5 years ago, I started Green Gorilla. And from the outset, I was determined that we were going to do this as like our initial, I guess, like consultation phase that we do with all customers. So yeah, let's jump into it. So can I just move that along? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
That's all right. Sorry, I'm just moving something on screen. So this is the business model canvas. It's basically like the 9 building blocks or essential components of delivering value to your customer. So the thing I really like about the business model canvas is the focus is completely on the customer and it's on value creation. So what I'm going to do over the next series of slides, I've got a lot of slides today. They haven't all got text on, so it's quite good. But I'll jump down into each one. But effectively, there's 9 building blocks, and there's a particular order you go through it. And what's really good when you're not like directly involved in that business is you can ask quite challenging questions that the person on the other end receiving it wouldn't necessarily have thought of. And that's where it works well in a team. If you're doing it yourselves, you need to. It's one of those moments when you need to think big about your business. So it's not a business plan. It's not a detailed plan of how you're going to execute every aspect of it. What it is a really good high-level way of communicating your business model idea or existing process. So I'll go through them all now. So the first one is customer segments. So this is the place we start. So we've recently been working with a customer in Bristol who's basically launching an app. They've gone to a trade show actually this week and won an award, which is quite good. The beauty is their product only really existed about 3 months ago, and the first step we did was a business model canvas, so everybody in the business could get behind the vision. So number one, customer segment. So it's like who does your product or service help, and then who is going to receive the most value from it. So you don't want to leave it as just as open as like it's anybody. You want to really break it down. So we've got like a product I'll show later. It's not very pretty, but I've got an example where we target marketing agencies in the UK who've been trained at least 2 years, those sorts of things. So it's basically your basic customer segment, and it could be that there's multiples, and I've got some examples as well where as we look at other ones it's clear, you can see it easily laid out. And the whole idea is everybody gets behind, that's who our customer segment is. So when we go forward and we make assumptions or we challenge how we're operating our business model, we can go back to identifying about the customer segment and are they getting the most value and stuff. So that's the very first thing you do. I realise now I'm going to talk through the whole process. I will show you at the end how you put it together. So if you bear with me on that. So the first thing you do is you identify your customer segment. The next bit is your value proposition. So it's all, like I said, it's all about value creation. So for the customer segments you've identified, what's the value that you offer? So this is there was a really good, I actually sat on it probably about a month ago. Kevin Brent did one on value proposition, which was a really good way of coming up. I think it was 7 steps of coming up with like how you identify your value proposition. So again, the business model canvas, you'd probably have like an ideal client profile that would fall into customer segments. It's not the detail there, it's the overview map. So how you deliver the value to those various customer segments. The next thing is the channels to market. So in the world of say like a SaaS product, which is the sort of stuff we do. So a SaaS product is software as a service. So we'll build a platform that will charge generally like a low monthly fee to be on, but it'll add value to those different marketplaces at a cost that we can deliver it at. So we've got a clear customer segment of who it would benefit. We know what the value is to them, and then the next thing is our channel to market is obviously via the web, but there's lots of different ways that you can determine that, and there's a lot more detail in the book. I deliberately today didn't want to give you the book because I didn't know what the copyright was on that. I've tried to lay claim to everything about who created this. So the fourth step is customer relationships. So how will you have a relationship with that customer? So it could be that it's a lot of people like Apple and that build it all around the brand. And for other people, it's a face-to-face communication, it's transaction. Other ones, it's through a completely, like a lot of SaaS products are completely automated. So the customer relationship would be it's 24/7, it's automated and stuff like that. So you start to document that. The fifth one is your revenue stream. So how the business model will capitalize on the value creation and generate revenue. And so you may have a product or a service where actually somebody can try something for free. So you might be a HR company and do a HR audit. One of your revenue streams in the business model canvas would be a free audit, but the next thing could be that you're charged for a consultation period. That would be a revenue stream and stuff like that. So again, I know at the moment it's probably hard to visualize, because until you get to an example, having thought about this now. So this is revenue streams. The sixth part of it is key resources. So largely these are internal people who are involved. So it could be people, it could be equipment, it could be hardware, but it's basically the key resources that are needed to make this business model operate. So what's quite good, you start to see the level we're talking about. It could just be a service within a company. We're not thinking of everything that company needs to exist. We're thinking about, to deliver that value to that customer, we need certain resources to happen. The seventh part of it is key activities. So what are the critical things that need to be done to get that value to that customer, if that makes sense? So that's key activities. And then the eighth one is key partners or partnerships. So to deliver your business model, this is where I class it as the external partnership. So you've got key resources is internal, key partners is the external stuff. So if we're running a mobile app for somebody and it's released via Apple iTunes, Apple and their entire app store is a key partner of ours. It's needed to fulfill the business model. It's really just identifying this is what it does. It's quite good, gets you thinking. And then the ninth one is cost structure. So based on the kind of left-hand side of it, so the resources and the activities that need to take place and the partners, what are the costs associated to it? And that's how you can work out whether it's even a viable proposition. So the key thing for me with the business model canvas is it's looking at it very high level, getting people to think differently about their own product or service, and really having it in a really easy to share way. So I've put down some lessons. I've got a few more examples that we can go into detail where it makes sense. But the one thing I've always learned with customers is, especially ourselves, if you go to say do the first one customer segments, it's easy to put down 50 post-its or to put down 50 items and say we target these and we target these and we target these. I found that generally, and we'll see the good examples, it's better to really be quite constrained and almost frugal is the wrong word, but that level of mentality that you need to be really laser focused on who it is you actually, if you can say have a business that will deliver to architects and so and so and so and so, work out which one's the core that you're going to deliver it to and focus your product around that. So being restrictive in all areas is good on the model canvas. The next step and the critical thing that we then do is, so you'll come up with, this is our customer, this is the value we offer, these are the things we need to operate a business model. From that, you can create a hypothesis. So like I was saying earlier, the latest product we've done, there's a very clear one single sentence statement that says why that product exists and the value that it offers. And so then the next step is to actually go and prove that. So we help our customers to actually go and validate their product without a line of code being written. They can take their business model and they can go and talk to customers and see if they have the same pains and the solutions and stuff that they need. And there's a big thing with the business model canvas is it's purely a snapshot about where you are today. So when we do this exercise, we try and do it quarterly on our services, because what we know is no business is ever stagnant. If it is, you're probably not stagnant, you're probably in decline. So we're all iterating, and this can end up as actually like a sketchbook where you can have over a series of time your different snapshots of your business model canvas and see how it evolves. So pivot is a part of the lean canvas, and that's a really key thing. Is we built a product once and we thought it did A, and when we went and spoke to people, it was completely that the value that they were getting was nothing like what we proposed. So we use the same format, same template and everything to just create iteration 2 and then go and test that. And then there's the business model canvas, and I'll touch on it later. There's it's great for startups and startup ideas, but there's now kind of evolved a secondary thing called a lean canvas, which has a few compartments that are slightly different. And the guy behind the whole lean movement is a guy called Eric Ries. He basically came up with this concept of like build, measure, learn. And that's key to then what we try and do with all our customers is take it from the business model canvas all the way through. I guess two of the final things on the lessons is because you can get it in a format that anybody can understand, it's really easy to share your ideas. So you can share your business model canvas with somebody who might just be helping you with feedback and validating your idea, all the way through to team members, to potential investors, all that sort of thing. Obviously, everyone wants degrees of detail. It's not a business plan, but it's a really good way to share your business idea and stuff like that, and see holes in it as well. And the final thing, I was forced to do this. I should add forced, but there's an image in the bottom right where the customer in Bristol, they basically, we just used a whiteboard. So we drew out the 9 compartments that you've seen. We basically put loads of post-its on, and then we were brutally ripping them back off. But they basically said, look, you've just talked it through in like 3 minutes. Could we record you? So he recorded me on his phone. He put it onto YouTube. But actually, as much as I'm loath to hear my own voice, and I'll never listen to this, it's a really good thing, because I was able to really share that with the team, and me talking through it and explaining this is why it exists, this is the value and stuff. So I definitely recommend video or audio recording yourself talking it through is a really good thing. So then this is the business model canvas for Apple iTunes. So basically you can see stuff. So if we look at the customer segment first, it's a completely mass market tool. The value proposition is that it offers a completely seamless music experience, and their channels are they sell through retail stores, through the Apple Store, through apple.com, and also the iTunes Store. Then we move on to their relationship with their customers. So it's all about their branding, their love mark, and also the switching costs. They're going to enable people to migrate across to it, in the fact that it's cheaper to buy something on iTunes than it is on other stuff. So then we jump down to revenue streams. So the way that this business model generates money is they get large revenues from the hardware that they sell, for like iPods and stuff like that, and also Mac computers, everything else that's linked to people wanting to be on iTunes. But at the same time, they get a degree of music revenues. You can see the level of detail. We're not given any financial forecasts or a business plan. It's purely ideas. The next thing is key resources. So to execute this business model and to make it operate, they've got the people who are going to actually, a big part of it will be the labour costs of delivering that solution, like the developers and stuff like that, and salespeople. They've got the Apple brand. They've got the content and the agreements with all the record companies. They need the iPad hardware, and they need the software to be able to all work. The key activities would be hardware design and the marketing of the product, and the key partnerships, the external ones, would be the record companies and the OEMs. And the final bit, so the cost structure, would be the people involved in it, the manufacturing process, and the marketing and sales. And so you can take something that's quite a high-level concept, like it's not trying to give you any detailed plans other than the ability to talk through how your business model generates money. Okay. And then I've just found some others. So there's I won't go through all of them because it'll be very tedious me talking through it. But again, some have used colours quite effectively. So they're kind of like customer segments, it's internet users, it's advertisers and marketers, it's developers, and that's a big differentiator. And then they've kind of linked. So you can see Facebook would make money in this. If I just glance over this, it's basically, well, developers. The channel to that is for the developer tools and the APIs. That's the value to them is all about personalization and everything else, and it's also a revenue stream. So at a very high level, again, roughly 3 or 4 post-its, you can describe how a business makes money and what it needs to do. So then the business planning and the growth side of it all comes into okay, so what do we now take a step back? We've got our business model canvas, what are the steps we need to do in each area, and that's where you form your kind of strategic plans around delivery. So, and the other good thing I've only just realised is you can basically put this on paper, and it only ever exists on paper. So it won't be within the realms of impossibility that, say, Facebook didn't do anything today for developers, they could still have this vision in their business model. They just haven't got to that phase of development yet. We all know it's different, but that shows the kind of thinking. So if you're rolling out something under like agile and minimum viable product, your vision and your business model can operate at multiple levels. And then this is Google. So we all think of Google as the free search tool, but actually, again, you can look at this quite easily and see how Google itself generates money and what it needs to do to deliver those things. And of course, each post-it really will generate a large amount of business planning and strategic activity. But it's really easy to see that this encompasses every part of what they do to generate money. So actually search isn't a big part of the generation of revenue. The big parts of that are the handsets, it's the mobile phones, and it's the infrastructure around Google, and it's also the advertising. So, and again, we've got a free revenue stream there. Okay, skipping on, there's one for LinkedIn. So again, I mean, they all look similar in their own way. There's no strict format other than the boxes. So I'll show you an ugly one from us. So we used an online tool for this one, and I looked at it early and I thought, you know what, everything I've written in this presentation about what you should do, we've done wrong here. But we haven't kept a 3 or 4 in every degree. But this is again a free online tool where we can collaborate remotely, and we can sit at either ends of the thing. You have a Google Hangout on, and we can basically type it in and move these post-its and stuff around. So for me, for one of our products, which is called Pitch, I can go back to this and see who it is, what the value is we're offering, and make sure that when we have those moments of like, is it working, or what we might be talking to one set of customers and effectively be getting like real mixed signals or things that conflict with ourselves in terms of where the product's going. And it's really good to just go back to, well, are they actually of that customer segment? Are we maximising the value for them? And I guess the overarching thing of all this is it's about how your business model can create value for a specific type of customer and what it needs to do that. That's all it's trying to achieve. And again, we've got like our product's free to register, but we get a monthly fee per app sold, and we get a setup fee. So we've got all that. We don't need to put numbers in there. But I sat down with my team after we'd done it, and hands up, we did it retrospectively to a degree. We'd already started building everything I've said. But there's that. And then, yeah, getting started is as simple as there's a variety of mobile apps out. So I had a look earlier. So if you go onto the iTunes or Android store and put in business model canvas, there's gadgets you can use where you just double tap and it'll give you the format. There's desktop versions as well. Some are paid, some are free. We use one called Canvasizer. And then the most common way that I've seen everybody do it is they just get a big piece of paper or whiteboards and use post-its, because you don't really need to, there's no cost to doing the business model canvas once you know about it, and there's enough blogs as well that describe it in much more detail than I am now, that will give you a really good understanding. So it's a strategic tool to be used for any existing product, service, ideas, and also new stuff. I think it's incredibly simple and easy to use. I think the value is in the questions you ask yourself or you ask other people. That's the key thing. Just in the way that people who are going for the growth program with BizSmart and stuff will get challenged on certain ideas. It's that person who's not at the coalface looking at it, and it's just a really good way to easily share and communicate your ideas. And then you've got something to go and test and measure against. So if I think the value my product brings is X, I can actually go and talk to customer segment A and ask them about not only is that value real, is our solution of interest to them, but also it could be the channels that you're querying, or do you really need those key resources and stuff like that. So that's it really. It was trying to be a whirlwind tour of it. I don't want to go into too much detail because there's a whole book that I would I would be in danger of saying don't need that. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you so much, Paul. You've got some questions coming through. You ready to answer them? Right, your first one is it really as easy to get started as you say it sounds?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I've tried to make it as easy as possible to obviously explain. I think the one good thing is there's lots and lots of information online, and like I mentioned, YouTube and the book itself. But yeah, it's as simple as those 9 boxes. The other thing that you get online and in the book is they give you a series of questions, like formulate questions per topic, like segment of the business model canvas. So it is easy. I think all you need is time out of your business to complete it. If you try and do it in parts, I think you'd make it hard for yourself. You need like probably an hour and you can pretty much get it done. And it's a really good document going forward that you can share.
Okay, thank you. Another question. You gave some great examples, thank you, but how quickly will I be able to see an impact on my business?
Great question. Yeah, so I guess impact is a different thing, isn't it? This process is all about documenting your product or service I think the ultimate impact comes from what you do with that information. So if you know that your business model is going to deliver value to X person and the revenue is going to come via Y, it's about working out then. Once you've kind of validated that, it's about working out the steps you need to take. So if it was a case of, well, we're already doing it, we've just identified that it's this niche of customer that we hadn't really thought of before, then how quickly can you action whatever that strategic goal is? So I think it's just the business model canvas is the start of the next step, which is the plan then, the strategic plan to execute. So, if it's something you can do in an afternoon, a strategic change and bring in an impact, going to be instant. I'd imagine most business model canvases are working on the kind of short to mid-term range, where they're trying to either launch something brand new. I mean, it's taken us a year so far, without not to do the business model canvas, but to launch the product. So it's varying degrees, but I think what it does give you, like any good thing, is it gives you clarity. So I think the impact for your own sanity would be you've finally got it down on paper, really. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next question, you spoke a little bit about it then, is once I've followed your steps and created a business model canvas, what's next?
Okay, so I think the first thing to do, the genuinely first next step to do is probably share it with somebody who understands your business. So that could be an advisor, or it could be a team member, or it could be even a client. To do some rudimentary at the first stage, like validation, because it could be, I mean, if it's a new product, then go and talk to prospective customers. That's what we do. We try and do as much on paper as possible before we then start committing real world plans to it, because going back to the quote at the start, nobody wants to build a product that doesn't solve a problem. So even though you've got your business model canvas, I wouldn't say that that's now permission to go and just launch into a 2-year or a 2-month or 2-day exercise on X. I'd say it's a foundation of being able to communicate that idea to people who would have vested interests. And then once you've kind of got to that stage and you've got like your hypotheses and you know what you're going to do, then it's just a case of strategic planning as the next step. And again, I'd involve somebody who can be an accountability partner on that. So that's a consultant or a business partner or a wife or a husband, but somebody who can hold you account to delivering on those strategic actions. Does that answer the question?
Thank you very much. I hope so. I'm sure it does. Right. Thank you so much, Paul, for hosting today's webinar.
Okay.
I'll be sending out a copy of the presentation and Paul's contact details out to you all very shortly. But thank you all for joining us, and we hope you make our BizSmart webinars a regular slot in your calendar at the new time of Mondays at 4 o'clock. Paul and I hope you have a great afternoon.
Yeah, definitely.